Hello everyone. Welcome back to Last Nerds on Earth, where this week we're going to be doing something a little different. Today we're going to be expanding a little bit into the wonderful world of Zemlia, which is the setting for our recent one-shot, The Prison Break. Today we're going to have our lovely folks here at Last Nerds on Earth. We're going to be talking about the world a little bit, about the characters the guys played, and going to be answering some questions from viewers. So sit tight and enjoy. So, starting now, we got everyone, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. So let's start out just going on the list here. So the first player we got introduced to in this was Crunk the Barbarian, played by Mandrew. Mandrew, tell us a little bit about that character, what was prepared for you, and what you did to put your own little spin on it.
All right. So the backstory I was given, Crunk was a child when his parents went to the market to get bread and never came back. So he was forced to live on the streets, and he was pretty much consumed by anger at that point. And eventually he came across a nice old man that took him in and taught him how to fight and live and control his anger, and more importantly, love. And that guy's name was Hatchet. And eventually he disappeared, and it took a long time to get over it, but he finally moved on and joined the Imperial Guard and got a job in the prison. And what I added to that was, after Hatchet disappeared, he was always looking for battles. There's the conflict going on with the Red Fang Legion and the Imperial Guard, so he would always look for, battles and try to just jump in. And that's where he found his friend Freddy, and him and his friend would always look for these, events. And on this one particular battle, they jumped in to help some innocents, and Crunk kind of jumped in hastily like he does, and his buddy got really hurt, and they got separated, and his buddy got taken by the Red Fang Legion. So he's been looking for him ever since, and of course never gave up on Hatchet. So he regrets that decision. And that was about it.
Incredible. I love the spins you put on that.
Actually answered one of my questions, so that works out.
That's good. Andrew, how did you feel about playing Crunk? Did you like the challenge it gave you? Do you think it was a good fit for you?
It was my first fighter, so I really liked being a fighter, being able to jump in, and the whole Hatchet thing, him being in the prison as the bad guy, that really threw me for a loop. So that was a little hard, because he's very loyal to his cause, but he's also very loyal to Hatchet. So trying to get him to help Hatchet when he's apparently a bad man was really hard.
It's a difficult thing to ask Crunk to do, but I think you played it very well.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, then moving on, let's get to the wonderful Kelzu the Wizard, played by our delightful fellow Ooj, or Mike.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit, Mike, about Kelzu. What was his backstory that you were provided, and how do you play around with it?
All right, so I pretty much stayed with your backstory, followed it pretty good. So when Kelzu was young, his parents died of dysentery. Sad, but it did happen a lot back then.
Even in the fantasy worlds.
Yeah, definitely. After that, Kelzu's brother Kalter and himself fled from their home, and they just wanted to travel around, and they were interested. I was in Kelzu. Sorry, Kelzu was interested in a lot of the tomes and stuff, and spent a lot of time learning magic. Obviously, hence the wizard.
Of course.
And his brother was more of the fighter, and he, was more into martial arts and weapons and things like that. So they meshed well together. And then, no spoilers or anything, but recently, Kelzu's brother was violently murdered in his sleep. He didn't see the killer, which was his reason for coming into the prison. Was he received a note that is mentioned in the podcast.
Indeed. Yeah, we read that out, didn't we?
Yeah, I read the whole thing.
Perfect.
And then Yeah, that's where he started up in the prison. He went in as kitchen staff and just sort of went with that. And I did sort of unintentionally add a little bit to him. Kelzu has short-term memory loss.
I thought
There
that was a
was
very nice
there was
addition.
quite a few things that he missed throughout the campaign, throughout the
The
game we
Like,
session.
played.
like the
Yeah.
key he was given in the kitchen.
Yeah, he
He
was given a
forgot.
key in the kitchen, but he had no idea that he had a key by the time he got to the pit. He forgot
Yeah.
Kelzu's name a couple times. He tried really hard to remember stuff. If he repeated it in his own head or like to himself out loud, then it kind of helped him remember it. So, I mean, that was a little twist that I unintentionally put on it, but I thought it was funny.
I think it was entirely intentional, and you're just being modest.
You're so modest.
So, I assume everyone, listening to this is probably listened to the one shot by now, right? Or
I
are
would
we still
imagine we've got
being?
another.
So
Yeah,
we
we've got
don't.
another
I
Five
don't think we
Crystals
really need
episode
to
out.
be wary of spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this, you must have listened to.
Yeah, and this will be posted so they can listen to this after
Mm.
as well.
So, what did you think of the twist with Kelzu's story towards the end of our episode
Dude, that
there?
seriously made me so mad. Like I had no like when he turned around and said all that to me, like I was literally at a loss for words. I was just like, "Oh my god, what a dick." Like that's awful. Holy
I was
shit.
pissed too. I wanted to run up and just take him down, man.
You tried. You tried.
Yep.
But we were running short on time, so suddenly he had the ability to teleport, which was totally known in advance. Clerics can all do that,
hmm
if you didn't know.
I don't know what kind of cleric you're playing.
Hey, I
But
opened up a spell for Carly, and if I choose it at some point, he can do that.
see, that's the thing. When your NPC is a cleric, and I'm sure Jack can speak to this with what's his name in the normal campaign.
Willis?
yeah, Willis.
Yeah, well, with Willis. If your cleric is an NPC, then his god is really just the DM.
yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Lathander
Within-
is Jack?
within reason.
Oh, man.
I know, right?
You can find
It's
me
crazy.
at the Temple of Lejector.
We'll have to make that a recurring theme. Alright. And then finally, we got our final character. We got Kyle. Amazing naming skills right
Every
there.
time.
Oh, it was amazing.
Who's the
I
rogue?
loved
Played
it.
by Skystar. Sky, tell us a little bit about Kyle.
Kyle is so as you mentioned, Kyle is like the white bread of names. It's so boring. So I went with that. Just I made him as cliche as possible. Like I took what you did. Like he's got that edgy rogue backstory nonsense where like he grew up on the streets and he's hardcore because he
Drinks
lost
Monster.
his family,
Yeah,
right? And
of course.
and then he became a bounty hunter and he got a mysterious note and he was like, okay, well I need to get into prison. How can I do that? Well, I could come up with something super crafty and like sneak in and go full Ocean's 11 on this shit, or I could just get caught and get thrown in prison.
You know,
That worked.
that seems like a very Kyle move.
Yep.
So I just went with the basics. I was like, it's gonna be a straight edge rogue and pure thief, greedy as fuck. All he cares about is getting paid.
Oh, of course. Now, question is, what did you do to get into prison? I don't remember if we covered that.
We didn't like we never really covered it. In my head, it was for someone like Kyle, it was probably something like really dumb, almost like he was begging the guards to catch him. He probably just broad daylight robbed a guard, just like walked up to a guard, "Hi, how you doing?" and just took his money and walked away. Like not even subtle about it.
It's classy. It's the right move. It's so very much like Kyle. And so, yeah, unfortunately, Kyle didn't really have a whole lot of a twist to his character story. I didn't really know what to do with that, but it seems like we almost made one in the middle of the campaign with your cellmate, who you were just an absolute dick to. I mean,
which
Kyle
which
was.
seems to be a running theme with my characters now.
I mean, you didn't even bother to ask his name. And honestly, you know how much time. This was my favorite NPC that I had developed.
What was that NPC's name?
It was Vadim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was I had planned for him to be a pivotal part of the story. He was gonna be an added NPC to help you guys. Hatchet wasn't supposed to be in the fight.
Oh shit.
Oh man.
Whoops.
Vadim was going to be your added NPC to help you guys out.
And I just sort
Locked
of
him back
shunted
up.
him.
Yeah.
I didn't lock him back up.
Yeah, you left the door
I left the
unlocked.
cell unlocked.
You left it unlocked, yeah, and everything fully guarded. Oh, and by the way, the guard, that you knocked out,
Yeah.
he got arrested himself for aiding and abetting.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor guy.
Yeah, I know.
His
Yeah,
dad's gonna be so pissed.
I know.
He's a noble. He'll be fine.
Well, he was also disowned from the family,
Oh.
which
Shit.
it's kind of sad. But you know what? You had no control over that. You did what you had to do.
Well, he could have just picked the lock. He did have thieves' tools.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true.
I
But
didn't.
apparently
I
that was
didn't have to do it that way.
it was a last resort, right?
That did get him the armor though, which gave him,
This is true.
the ability to get around the prison a little better.
Yeah.
It's a mighty fine point. Just thought you'd be interested to know all the lives that you've ruined.
What about the witch who gave me the flower?
Oh, her, yeah. No, she's doing just fine. She honestly
Yeah,
likes
figures.
being in prison.
Figures.
She didn't escape.
Nah.
She just closed the door again.
Yeah. I mean, she realized that. I mean, if she was out in the real world, they don't really have much in the way of book clubs.
I mean, I doubt they really have a book club in prison either. It's
Well,
prison.
maybe if you had asked Vadim, you'd have figured it out. That was an entire side quest that was gonna. It's actually the plot of the next one shot.
I know what you mean, Q, because I did an icons one, and I had this great character, Horace McLongface. He was a talking horse, and he was amazing, and he was awesome. And Jack hated him for some reason. He treated him so bad right off the bat.
He just shit all over him. That's all he did. He called him BoJack Horseman.
Oh my goodness, that's so rude.
And he was there just to help him. He got him out of being killed and healed him.
Dang.
Yep.
All right, so as revenge, which one of Jack's NPCs are we gonna completely ridicule?
Well, I've been so suspicious of Leon the whole time, so.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that culminates to.
Yeah, it will.
Anyhow,
Well, we can move on to some questions. I'm guessing we all have a couple questions for you, and then some listener questions to get to.
sure, yeah, go ahead and fire away.
All right, Mike, why don't you go ahead with your question?
All right. Okay, this is a good one. Why was the prison so relaxed?
So relaxed.
For a maximum security prison, there were guards just throwing keys around, people leaving cell doors open. They got little Jeffrey getting knocked out by like bars.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's the interesting thing. Great question. The fact of the matter is, when your prison is guarded by an aboleth, gigantic sea creature, it's generally, even if you do let prisoners get out, they're not probably going to get past that. You guys can even tell it took 2 members of the staff for you guys to even get anywhere. So one prisoner alone doesn't really have a whole lot of a shot. So they've come to realize, like, what's the point? Why put too much effort if nothing happens around here anyway?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I never thought about the aboleth like that, but
Yeah. Well, and it's the interesting thing too. Remember how, you'd think most prisons would have the exit on the top floor, right?
yeah,
Closer.
okay. Why was it in the pit, and why was Hatchet sitting right next to the exit?
Well, see, that's the thing. Hatchet's been in there long enough that he's got some sway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, they knew that Hatchet was strong enough that he would just decimate the guards. So why bother wasting lives when you can just send him straight to the aboleth and have that taken care of for you? You know, it might seem like you're facilitating his escape, but really you're just wasting. You're avoiding the waste of good manpower.
And
Finding new
feeding the aboleth at the
guards.
same time. So
Well,
like two
exactly,
birds.
yeah. Well, an interesting bit of lore there is aboleths are incredibly intelligent creatures, right? If things worked out differently, it was probably going to have some minions to work around, and it would have been a lot smarter, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we were running a little bit short on time, and I didn't want to go too long. But aboleths are incredibly, incredibly intelligent creatures, and so it didn't it's not a slave there, right? It's there with some sort of agreement, probably with the prison, to act
Mm-hmm.
as, a guard to the way out, and in return, well, we don't know exactly what it's getting, but probably a nice meal every once in a while.
Yeah, that would make sense. Excellent.
Does that
Very
answer the
cool.
question?
Yeah, I would say it does.
Perfect. Keep
All
'em
right.
coming.
Let's move on to Sky.
I I can't. My brain quit.
If you want, I can go. Give you some time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So I have a question about that spell or whatever it was that opened the gate to the pit. If that didn't
Right.
work, what what were we gonna do? How were we gonna open that? Were we gonna have to go through the prison and find the switch or what?
Well, that was the idea. Yeah. I had a few options that could have like expedited the Aboleth fight to make it faster if you guys had needed to go around and unlock the gate. But luckily, so yeah, in the end, you would have needed to go back up to the kitchen, ironically, and talk to Gladys again. Because in the kitchen, farthest away from where you think it would be, is actually the control for the door, because the prison was obviously designed by some maniac who
Who
decided
love
that
to
the
cook?
lunch lady, well, maniac who loved to cook. Yeah, Gladys is actually the warden. No,
That would make
uh,
so much sense.
Yep.
but yeah, so the control would have been all the way up there, and you guys probably could have figured that out pretty quickly just by asking people. But luckily, I managed to roll well on Hatchet's divine intervention, which is a cleric skill, as I explained to you guys. But it's a cleric skill that allows their god to intervene if they roll lower on a percentile dice than their cleric level. So I rolled like a 3, which is lower than his cleric level. So it gave way for divine intervention, which made the process a little faster and let me make the aboleth fight go a little longer.
Nice.
Very cool.
All right. Well, in that note, where the heck was the entrance? I
The
want to know, man.
entrance. So that's a good question. So you might have remembered from talking to a few of the NPCs in the beginning, from talking to who was it? It was Melthic and Kithlam, the
Yeah,
the
the
dark
dark
elf
elf
twins.
twins.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned, I think it was them that mentioned in the beginning that you know all of the guards live on premises, right? And they're not allowed to leave, except for set periods of time. But when they're all brought in, they're blindfolded, so no one knows where the entrance is, right? Which makes it a lot easier to keep people in place, right?
Mm.
So in reality, there's only one way in or out, and that's through the aboleth. And that's where the intelligence of the aboleth comes into play, because its agreement with the prison makes it so that if if the guards are coming over in like a boat or something across that lake, the aboleth can recognize them and won't attack. And that way you can transport people to and fro while also having a nice defense mechanism.
So Hatchet has to literally watch people go in and out, and he can't because he knows he's going to get eaten.
Hmm.
That's messed up, man.
That's brutal.
It's a maximum security prison. That's what they do in the pit. Speaking of the pit, a little segue there. Do you know how much time you guys ate up trying to figure out those damn stairs?
I know. I was so much time.
That you ask,
That was like
what
the
you would
whole
have
first
done.
episode.
You ask what you would have done if the divine intervention hadn't worked. You were supposed to go find the switch to unlock the door. I planned out the time such that you'd have time to do that. But you guys decided to spend 45 minutes
Going back and forth and asking questions and
Did I
starving
really
Hatchet to
glad
death.
if
Yeah.
that divine intervention worked? Because I took out the damn stairs.
yep.
Yeah. It's a darn good thing.
I bet you were like, damn it, guys, what the heck?
I was trying to figure out what I was gonna say. Like, I didn't think you could like just break through the door, but I was ready to pull some DM mumbo jumbo, but luckily it all worked out.
Yeah.
All right, Sky, you got a question?
Yeah. What was, or not what was, but like how did someone like Hatchet even get caught in the first place? Like what was he doing there?
That's an interesting question. When you get into a profession like Hatchet, when you're that prolific for that long, eventually, you get a bounty on your head, right? You become more and more infamous, and more people want to catch you. You being, Kyle being in the world of bounty hunters, probably knew about Hatchet because he was just such a prolific character. And you do anything long enough, and you're bound to slip up.
So just straight up bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck, or maybe he let himself get caught. That's for Hatchet to know. But most likely his solution, he probably just ran out of luck, wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's out there committing so many war crimes.
Yep.
Eventually, karma catches up.
Behind his adopted son's back. Come on.
He was trying to keep you safe from the atrocities of the world.
From his atrocities.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, he is the atrocities of the world.
I mean, listen, you gotta kill some people so that you can eat for a night. You know.
Hopefully not them though. Probably to steal their money to have some bread or something.
I mean, what do you think that weird soup was all those years ago?
Oh man. It was delicious.
Alrighty, if you say so. Great questions though. Great questions. Really making me go over the lore I've developed.
Now we'll move on to the listener questions that Mike has.
Yes, we have
Awesome.
two, which honestly is more than I thought we would get. So thank you guys. That's
Thanks.
awesome. I
Yeah,
just need to get to them.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so our first question is from Messy Jesse, and it's for Kyle. He asks, when Crunk asked if you would rather have your arms or your money, what were you going to choose?
Good question.
Kyle.
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 Damn it, Kyle.
Apparently his tongue.
Sorry. No.
You got a
I,
question
for-
from Messy Jesse.
I forgot I was Kyle. My arms are my money. It's always going to be the money. Like,
Of course.
Hmm.
Money can buy
in
new arms.
yeah, in this world, I can just buy new arms as long as I have money.
It's a good point.
It would suck until you got the new arms, though.
I don't know. I can just get a mage to regrow me some arms or something. Maybe go see a cleric.
Oh, it's a good excuse to get into kickboxing.
Right?
All right, we got one more question. I suppose this one's for you, Cube.
All right.
It's from iZugZug,
All right.
and the question is: was Jeffrey, Kyle's prison guard,
Mhm.
a get him to the Greek reference?
Get him to the Greek route. No, I have no idea what that is.
You don't?
No.
Oh, man. That's
Yeah,
that's
I don't-
funny.
that would have been a great reference.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes, it was.
let me explain it real quick. Get Him to the Greek is a movie about a guy that does a bunch of drugs, pretty much, and so him and his dad invented a thing called a Jeffrey, which was basically just a big combination of drugs. But they named it
Alright.
Jeffrey because they're like, oh, it's just Jeffrey. It's just that guy down the street. That's everyone's nice. Everyone loves Jeffrey.
Ah.
So you making Jeffrey the prison guard just a naive little, harmless little guy. That's hilarious. That makes a lot of sense.
I wish I was that smart. But no, I'm just really uncreative with names, and Jeffrey's usually one of my go-tos.
Well, Crunk was pretty good.
Yeah, Crunk was fantastic.
Yeah, I decided I wanted to go with the K's, and I just stuck with that.
Hmm.
Crunk was the first one I came up with.
I first thought of him with like those like shader glasses on with like a Four Loko, and he's like got like super loud music going on around him all the time and stuff. He's getting crunk.
See, that sounds like something Kyle would do.
Yeah, that's definitely
yeah,
kind
it
of
does.
I would never.
that we would know about.
That's right.
That's true. That's true. To each his own.
Here's another Kyle related question, I think. I just thought of this one. Did you actually give him a real name, or did you just was it just Kyle to me?
Oh. Yeah, Kyle, that's your domain.
Like, no. Like, the idea that Kyle is like not his real name was made up on the spot. Like, you
Okay.
asked, and I just started bullshitting.
So his
That was
name
good.
may
That was
or
good
may not
bullshitting.
actually be Kyle.
Yeah, no one knows.
Maybe he started the trend of Kyle. Maybe he is the first of the Kyles.
As a
The cult of
distraction because
Kyle.
of his profession.
Mhm.
There's so many Kyles because he wants there to be.
Bounty hunters.
Now all thieves are named Kyle.
Hmm.
Oh man, I hope that doesn't carry into our campaign.
Which Kyle? The 15th Kyle. There are goddamn Kyles everywhere.
Kyle 12 thieves.
Oh no, Jack's watching too. Jack, don't do that.
Yeah,
Oh.
don't do that.
Should have told me he was
Giving-
watching.
Giving the DM ideas is always not a good thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm so sad that he didn't have any questions for me.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
he's busy with the little one. He's probably
Yeah.
just
True.
listening to a headphone and burping a baby right now.
That's fair.
That's very possible.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that makes sense.
All right, then. Well, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, we'll probably just wrap it up.
Yep.
Get
Sounds good
excited
to
for
me.
next week's session and keep going with the 5 crystals.
Next week will be crazy. I'm pumped for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. The episodes leading up have not been released yet, so without spoilers, we definitely pretty much completed our heist. So
I mean,
we're kind
Did
of.
we though?
We don't know yet. We
'Cause
kind
I
of did, unexpectedly.
Well, I suppose we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Yep.
Suppose so.
Alrighty.
Alrighty,
So
well,
how do we end these?
So long, farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.